Doomsday Mom, Lori Vallow, the twisted mother who killed for love and prophecy. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. It began like a picture-perfect life. A smiling blonde woman, a loving mother, a family that seemed straight out of a suburban dream. Lori Vallow had that kind of charm people noticed instantly. She was radiant, confident, charismatic. Her friends said she lit up any room she walked into. But beneath that perfect smile, something dark was brewing, something dangerous. Before she became known as the Doomsday Mom, Lori was simply Lori Cox, a girl from California with big dreams and a strong belief in God. She grew up in a deeply religious family, one that prized loyalty, obedience, and faith. But Lori's faith would one day twist into obsession. And that obsession would lead to death. To neighbors, Lori was the kind of mom everyone admired. She attended church every Sunday. She drove a nice car. Her kids were well-dressed, polite, and happy. Her life seemed full of blessings. But she wasn't satisfied. Not yet. She'd been married multiple times, each relationship leaving deeper cracks in her life, each husband bringing her closer to chaos. Her third husband, Joseph Ryan, was the father of her daughter, Tylee. He was quiet and kind, but their marriage quickly fell apart. Lori accused him of abuse. Friends say she became paranoid, convinced that dark forces were trying to hurt her and her children. In 2018, Joseph Ryan suddenly died of a reported heart attack. No one looked twice. No autopsy was done. It was written off as natural causes. But later, investigators would take a second look and wonder. After Joseph, Lori married Charles Vallow, a man with a big heart and a successful career. Charles adored Lori. He treated her children as his own. He even adopted Lori's youngest son, Joshua J.J. Vallow, a bright, autistic boy with a smile that melted hearts. At first, their marriage seemed perfect. They moved to Arizona. They built a comfortable life. Photos showed family vacations, church gatherings, birthdays filled with laughter. But by 2018, Lori began changing. She started talking about the end of the world, about preparing for the second coming, about dark spirits that could possess people, and about chosen warriors who would survive the apocalypse. Charles was confused and then frightened. His wife wasn't the same. She told him that she had been chosen by God, that she was a translated being, someone who could not die, someone who would help lead the 144,000 believers into the new world. Charles tried to reason with her, but Lori was already gone. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, she was living in a new reality, one created by her own delusion. In late 2018, Lori met a man named Chad Daybell, an author, a podcaster, and a self-proclaimed prophet. Chad wrote books about the end of times. He believed the world would soon be cleansed by fire. He taught that some people were light, blessed souls chosen by God, and others were dark, possessed by evil spirits, zombies, he called them. To most people, Chad was just another eccentric writer. But to Lori, he was everything she'd been waiting for. Her soulmate, her spiritual equal, her eternal husband. The connection was instant. They spoke for hours about past lives, visions, and divine missions. They believed they had been married in multiple lifetimes. They said angels spoke to them. They said they were destined to lead God's army through the apocalypse. And soon, Lori's beliefs grew even darker. She began to see the people around her not as family, but as obstacles, enemies, dark spirits sent to stop her divine mission. Charles noticed the change. He told friends he feared for his life. He even filed a police report, saying, "I'm afraid she'll kill me." He wasn't wrong. On July 11, 2019, Charles went to Lori's home in Chandler, Arizona. He wanted to see JJ. It was supposed to be a calm visit, but it turned deadly. Inside the home was Lori's brother, Alex Cox, a man fiercely loyal to his sister. Lori and Charles argued. The tension escalated. Then gunfire. Alex shot Charles twice in the chest. When police arrived, Lori was calm. Too calm. She smiled. She told officers Charles had come at her with a bat. She said Alex shot in self-defense. The officers took her at her word. There were no tears, no shock, no visible grief. Charles Vallow was dead, and Lori moved on. Within weeks, Lori packed up her kids, Tylee, 16, and JJ, 7, and disappeared to Idaho. She wanted to be closer to Chad Daybell. He lived there with his wife, Tammy, a quiet school librarian. But soon after Lori's arrival, Tammy began feeling sick. She told friends she was being attacked by spirits. Then, on October 19, 2019, Tammy was found dead in her sleep. Her death was ruled natural, a pulmonary embolism. Lori and Chad didn't waste time. Just 17 days later, they were married on a beach in Hawaii. No one could believe it. Tammy had just died. Lori's husband had been shot months earlier. And now the two prophets were newlyweds, laughing and dancing under the sun. But back in Idaho, people began to notice something else. Tylee and JJ were missing. Family members grew worried. No one had seen Tylee or JJ in weeks. When police came knocking, Lori had excuses. She said JJ was staying with a friend in Arizona. She said Tylee was at college. But none of it was true. Investigators kept digging, desperate to find the children. Every lead turned cold. Every story Lori told unraveled. By December 2019, the truth was impossible to ignore. Lori Vallow's children were gone. Her brother, Alex Cox, the man who killed Charles, was found dead that same month. A sudden collapse, supposedly natural causes. But investigators couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was happening. 2 dead husbands, 1 dead brother, 2 missing children, and Lori and Chad acting like newlyweds on vacation. By early 2020, the case exploded across the nation. News outlets called Lori the Doomsday Mom. People wanted answers. Where were JJ and Tylee? Why did Lori keep smiling when asked about them? In interviews, she seemed calm, almost smug. She refused to say where her children were. When police gave her a court order demanding she produce them, she ignored it. In February 2020, she was arrested in Hawaii, smiling again in her mugshot. Her silence chilled the nation. Her lack of emotion made headlines. Everyone wanted to know the same thing: what happened to those kids? As investigators dug into Chad and Lori's beliefs, a disturbing pattern emerged. They had created a system, a list, labeling friends and family as light or dark. Once someone was labeled dark, they were considered possessed and doomed. And soon after being labeled dark, those people began dying. Charles, Tammy, Tylee, JJ, one by one. To Lori, these weren't murders. They were releases, her way of freeing their spirits from dark energy. She believed God was guiding her, that she was saving the world, that she and Chad were chosen to cleanse the earth of evil. But what she saw as divine prophecy, the world saw as monstrous murder. Months passed. Then, on June 9, 2020, investigators searched Chad Daybell's property in Rexburg, Idaho. What they found would shatter even the hardest hearts. Beneath a patch of freshly disturbed earth, they uncovered human remains. It was JJ, wrapped in plastic, bound with duct tape, his little body hidden in the backyard. Nearby, they found more remains, charred, unrecognizable. They belonged to Tylee, a 16-year-old girl, a 7-year-old boy, buried in shallow graves, behind the home of the man their mother called the Prophet. The discovery made national headlines. Started small: podcast, a book club, a few believers who gathered to talk about faith, visions, and prophecy. But soon it would turn into something else entirely. Something darker, something deadly. This was no ordinary Bible study. This was the beginning of a cult, one built on fear, power, and blind devotion. And at its center stood 2 people, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Before the world knew his name, Chad Daybell was a quiet man from Idaho. He'd spent years working as a cemetery sexton, digging graves and tending tombstones. He said he had visions there, that while standing among the dead, he could hear spirits speak to him. He began writing about those visions, self-publishing books about near-death experiences, spiritual awakenings, and the end of the world. His stories were dramatic, full of angels, demons, and prophecies. But he didn't see them as fiction. He saw them as truth. He told readers that he had been chosen by God to prepare the world for the final battle between light and darkness. And people believed him. Among his followers were devout members of the Latter-day Saints community. They believed Chad's books revealed hidden truths, secret messages that the church itself was too afraid to admit. Soon, Chad wasn't just an author. He was a prophet. And when he met Lori Vallow, he found his queen. Their connection was instant. When they first met at a religious conference in 2018, witnesses said it was like watching two magnets snap together. They spoke for hours about past lives and divine missions. They claimed to have been married before, not in this life but in several past ones. They said angels confirmed it. Chad told Lori she had lived multiple lives, that she had once been a goddess, that she had walked beside him in ancient times, preparing the world for its final reckoning. And Lori believed every word. From that moment on, their lives intertwined, not just romantically, but spiritually. They saw themselves as leaders, destined to separate the righteous from the wicked, the living from the undead, the light from the dark. To outsiders, it sounded insane, but to Lori and Chad, it was divine truth. Chad had a system. He called it the scale of light and darkness. Every person, he said, could be measured on that scale. Some souls were light, some were dark, and the dark ones, he believed, could be possessed by evil spirits. He told Lori that when a dark spirit took over a body, the real person was already dead. Their body became a shell, a zombie, and in their minds, killing that body wasn't murder. It was mercy, a spiritual release. This belief became the foundation of their crimes. Lori started labeling people. Her husband Charles, dark. Her daughter Tylee, dark. Even her little boy JJ, dark. Once she believed it, there was no going back. Lori and Chad began forming a small group of devoted followers. They called themselves the Church of the Firstborn. To them, Lori and Chad weren't just teachers, they were divine leaders. Members met in secret. They prayed together. They studied Chad's books. They fasted for days to purge themselves of evil. And they listened always to what Lori and Chad commanded. Chad would hold spiritual rating sessions, assigning light or dark designations to people in their lives. He even gave them numerical vibration levels, a spiritual ranking system that sounded scientific but was pure fantasy. Those numbers determined who could be trusted and who had to go. One follower said later, "They made us believe we were soldiers in a holy war, that death was part of the plan, that God was counting on us." Lori was the queen of this strange new kingdom, beautiful, charismatic, and utterly convinced she was chosen by heaven itself. But not everyone bought into their visions. Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, saw the change early. He begged for help. He called police. He warned everyone who would listen that Lori was slipping into delusion. He told officers, "She thinks she's a god. She thinks the world's going to end. She's not safe." But his pleas were dismissed. Lori's charm disarmed people. Her soft voice, her perfect smile. She seemed rational until you listened closely. When Charles was killed by her brother, Alex Cox, it looked like the prophecy had claimed its first victim. And Lori didn't stop there. After Charles's death, Lori grew bolder. She and Chad began teaching that dark spirits had infiltrated their families. They told followers that some of their own loved ones had been taken over, and that their souls needed to be released. Lori said Tylee was no longer her real daughter. She said JJ's spirit had been replaced. She even claimed she could see dark eyes in them, proof that demons lived inside their bodies. One friend recalled Lori saying calmly, "They're not my children anymore." It was chilling. It was delusion. And it was the final step before murder. By fall 2019, Chad's wife Tammy was labeled dark too. Chad told people she'd been possessed by a spirit named Viola. Weeks later, Tammy was dead. Every death seemed to serve their prophecy. Every disappearance, Another step closer to salvation. Lori and Chad moved carefully. They spun lies to cover their tracks. When police asked about Tylee, Lori said she was away at college. When family called about JJ, she said he was with relatives in Arizona. But the lies didn't hold. Investigators pieced together a disturbing timeline. Tylee was last seen in September 2019 at Yellowstone National Park. She smiled for a photo and was never seen again. JJ disappeared weeks later. The couple's friends started to notice something strange too. Lori was carefree, happy, dancing on beaches in Hawaii while her children were missing. Her friend, Melanie Gibb, later said, "She told me the kids were happy and safe, but something in her voice didn't sound right. I knew she was lying." By the time police began searching for the children, Lori had vanished to Hawaii with Chad. They lived like newlyweds, smiling for the cameras, ignoring the world's outrage. By 2020, Lori and Chad's Church of the Firstborn began to crumble. Members who once saw them as prophets now feared them. They couldn't ignore the deaths anymore. Too many coincidences, too much blood. One former follower said, "They started preaching that God required death to purify the earth. That killing was part of his plan. That's when I left." But for some, it was too late. Their loyalty had blinded them. They'd helped hide the truth. They'd helped move bodies. And when investigators came knocking, the lies started falling apart. Chad's calm facade cracked. Lori's confidence turned to panic. And the entire twisted world they'd built began to collapse. Detectives from Idaho to Arizona worked around the clock. They sifted through phone records, emails, and text messages. Every clue revealed something more horrifying. In one text, Chad told Lori that Tammy is being possessed by a spirit named Viola. In another, Lori wrote that JJ has become a zombie. It was evidence not just of delusion but intent. They weren't confused. They weren't in a trance. They believed killing was part of their holy mission, and they executed it with chilling calm. One FBI agent later said, "They didn't see murder as evil. They saw it as destiny." As the story hit national news, the small town of Rexburg, Idaho, was shaken to its core. This was a peaceful community, the kind of place where people left doors unlocked and waved to neighbors. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It began quietly, no screaming, no struggle, just silence. 2 children disappeared. No warning, no explanation, and for months no one even knew they were gone. Their names were Tylee Ryan and Joshua J.J. Vallow, a teenage girl with a sharp tongue and a kind heart, and her little brother, a boy full of energy, diagnosed with autism, who loved hugs and music. They vanished in September 2019, and for a long time no one asked the one question that should have been asked immediately. Where were Lori's kids? September 8, 2019. Yellowstone National Park. A beautiful day, blue skies, sunlight streaking through the trees. Lori Vallow was smiling in photos. Beside her was her daughter, Tylee, and her brother, Alex Cox. JJ clutched a small snack bag, grinning for the camera. It was supposed to be a family trip, a happy day. No one knew it would be the last photo ever taken of Tylee Ryan alive. 2 weeks later, JJ vanished too. Lori never reported them missing. She didn't tell anyone they were gone. She didn't cry. She didn't search. She just went on, smiling, shopping, and telling people her kids were fine. When family members called to speak with Tylee, Lori said she was busy. College, traveling, happy. When JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, called, Lori dodged their messages. Finally, she texted back, "JJ's safe. Everything's fine." But something felt off. Kay had helped raise JJ. She knew his laugh, his voice, and she hadn't heard him in weeks. The last person outside the family to see JJ alive was Melanie Gibb, one of Lori's closest friends. She'd visited Lori's new home in Rexburg, Idaho. She noticed something strange. JJ seemed anxious. He looked tired. The next morning, he was gone. Lori told her that JJ had been taken by his grandmother. But when Melanie later spoke to Kay, she learned it was a lie. Everything was starting to unravel. As the children disappeared, Lori's focus shifted elsewhere to Chad Daybell. His wife, Tammy, had died just weeks before. Peacefully, they said, in her sleep. No foul play suspected. Just 17 days later, Lori and Chad were on a beach in Hawaii, dressed in white, smiling, married. It was obscene. 2 newlyweds in paradise, while 2 children were missing and 2 spouses were dead. Locals later recalled how carefree they looked, holding hands, taking wedding photos, laughing as waves crashed at their feet. They acted like the world was perfect. But back home, investigators were piecing together something horrifying. JJ's grandparents refused to let the matter go. Kay and Larry Woodcock began calling police, calling the media, begging for help. They told anyone who would listen, "Our grandson is missing. Our daughter-in-law won't tell us where he is. Please, someone help us." At first, investigators were slow to act. Lori had moved around so many times: Arizona, Idaho, Hawaii. She was hard to track. And every time someone asked about the kids, she gave a new excuse. They're with friends. They're in Arizona. They're at a private school. Each story more elaborate than the last. But when Rexburg police knocked on her door in November 2019, Lori's calm confidence cracked. Just a little. It was a cold Idaho morning when detectives showed up. They'd received a welfare check request from JJ's grandparents. Lori smiled as she opened the door. She said JJ was staying with a family friend in Arizona. Detectives asked for the friend's name. She hesitated, then said, "Melanie Gibb." Minutes later, detectives called Melanie. And that's when the truth started to break. Melanie hadn't seen JJ in weeks, and he wasn't in Arizona. When police asked if she was caring for him, she said, "No, Lori's lying." They returned to Lori's townhouse the next day, but it was empty. Lori, Chad, and Alex Cox were gone. They'd fled Idaho overnight. By December 2019, the story hit national headlines. 2 missing children, 2 dead spouses, 1 doomsday cult. People were horrified. How could a mother simply vanish with her children missing? How could no one stop her? The media dubbed her the Doomsday Mom. The nickname stuck. TV anchors, podcasters, and social media sleuths tore into every detail. Lori and Chad's beliefs, their mysterious disappearances, the idea that they believed their children had been possessed. The public was fascinated and furious. Pressure mounted on law enforcement to find the kids. Rexburg police began searching Lori's abandoned townhouse. What they found made investigators sick. Children's clothing still in the drawers. Toys scattered across the floor. A half-eaten bag of chips. A backpack labeled JJ. It was as if they had vanished midday without warning. No packing. No preparation. Just gone. Detectives also found a trail of digital evidence. Phone pings, texts, photos. And each clue pointed back to one man, Alex Cox. Alex's phone had been near the Daybell property the same morning both kids disappeared. The GPS data didn't lie. He'd been at the exact same location where the children's remains would later be found. But before police could question Alex Cox further, he was dead. December 12, 2019. Just days after the search began, Alex collapsed in his bathroom in Arizona. The cause? Blood clot in the lungs, according to reports. But many still believe there was more to it. His death ended any chance of learning the truth from him. And Lori, once again, walked away untouched. Now all eyes turned to her and Chad. In January 2020, Lori and Chad were found in Hawaii, living in a luxury condo, driving a rental Jeep, shopping, laughing, and sipping drinks under the sun. When reporters caught up with them on the beach, Lori smiled and said, "Everything will be revealed." But when asked where her children were, she turned away. No emotion, no answer. Police gave her a deadline. Produce the children within 5 days or face charges. 5 days passed. Nothing. No children. No proof they were alive. So, on February 20th, 2020, Lori Vallow was arrested. Her mugshot spread across the nation. The once beautiful suburban mother now looked vacant, her eyes wide, her smile gone, but even behind bars, she refused to speak. As Lori sat in jail, the world waited for answers. Every news network covered it. Every true crime podcast dissected it. The question was always the same. Where are Tylee and JJ? FBI agents joined the investigation. They searched storage units Lori had rented. Inside, they found JJ's toys, photos of the kids, a blanket he never slept without. But not the children themselves. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said the kids were hidden in a secret bunker. Others said they'd been taken by followers to prepare for the end times. But deep down, everyone feared the truth. Investigators turned their focus to Chad Daybell's property in Salem, Idaho. Neighbors had reported strange activity, bonfires late at night, freshly dug holes, and Alex Cox's truck parked outside during those same nights in September. On June 9, 2020, police moved in. They brought heavy equipment, cadaver dogs, and search teams. Chad watched from his porch as officers fanned out across his land. Minutes passed. Then an officer shouted. A body had been found, buried near a pond, wrapped in black plastic and duct tape, the remains of a child. Moments later, another set of remains was discovered, burned, dismembered. Both bodies were identified as JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. The world stopped. The unthinkable had happened. The children everyone had prayed for were gone. As the search continued, police surrounded Chad's home. He tried to drive away but didn't get far. The courtroom was silent. No whisper, no shuffle of papers. Every eye fixed on one woman, Lori Vallow Daybell. She walked in wearing a soft pink blouse, hair curled, a faint smile on her lips. You would never guess she was accused of killing her own children. But that smile, it chilled everyone. It wasn't remorse. It was confidence. Like she still believed she was chosen, above the law, above humanity. The judge looked at her. So did the families of JJ and Tylee. And for a moment, the world held its breath. This was it. After years of lies, deaths, and silence, Lori Vallow was finally going to face justice. The charges were devastating. First-degree murder of Tylee Ryan. First-degree murder of Joshua JJ Vallow. Conspiracy to commit murder. Grand theft for continuing to collect the children's Social Security benefits after their deaths. Prosecutors said it was all part of a plan. A murderous obsession fueled by delusion and greed. Her motive? Love, power, and a warped belief in a coming apocalypse. Lori pled not guilty. The prosecution began with the digital trail. It was meticulous, cold, undeniable. Text messages between Lori and Chad revealed everything. They called JJ and Tylee zombies. They wrote about casting out dark spirits. And days before the kids disappeared, Lori texted Chad, "We are finally free. Praise the Lord." Each message painted a picture of a woman who had lost touch with reality, and yet knew exactly what she was doing. Then came the GPS data. Investigators showed how Alex Cox's phone pinged near Chad's property at the exact times each child vanished. First, on September 9th, when Tylee disappeared. Then again, on September 23rd, the day JJ was last seen alive. Those pings placed Alex in the exact location where the children's remains were later found. It wasn't coincidence. It was murder. The jury listened to Chad and Lori's phone calls. They spoke like lovers, but their words were chilling. Lori said she felt peace after the children were gone. Chad called it God's plan. When the recording played, people in the courtroom wept. JJ's grandmother, Kay Woodcock, shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Lori didn't flinch. She smiled faintly, as if she still believed she was misunderstood. Prosecutors brought in witnesses who once followed Lori and Chad's teachings. They described secret meetings, charts ranking people as light or dark. They said Lori believed she could discern spirits, deciding who was possessed and who deserved to live. One witness, Melanie Gibb, testified with trembling hands. She told the court how Lori confided that JJ had a dark spirit, and that Tylee had become unreachable. Gibbs' voice broke when she said, "I didn't believe she'd hurt them. I thought it was all talk. I was wrong." The courtroom went quiet again. For a long moment, no one spoke, because it was clear now this wasn't just murder. It was a ritual. Lori's defense team tried everything. They claimed she was a victim brainwashed by Chad Daybell, a woman trapped under the spell of a manipulative cult leader. They painted Chad as the puppeteer and Lori as the puppet. They argued she had lost her grip on reality due to religious extremism. They said she didn't understand right from wrong. But prosecutors had a different story. They showed texts where Lori mocked other believers, where she manipulated Alex into helping her, where she laughed about her dead husband and called it a blessing. This wasn't blind faith. It was cold control. She wasn't brainwashed, she was leading. The forensic pathologists took the stand next. And for the first time, the court heard exactly what happened to those children. Tylee Ryan burned and dismembered. Her DNA found on a shovel, a pickaxe, and a bucket. J.J. Vallow, buried in a shallow grave, bound with duct tape around his hands, feet, and mouth. The doctor paused before describing the condition of J.J.'s remains. Even hardened officers looked away. The jury cried. Reporters cried. Even some of the court staff cried. But Lori just sat still, her expression blank, like she was somewhere else entirely. One of the most damning moments came when investigators testified that Lori never once asked, "Are my children okay?" Not during her arrest, not during the months in jail, not even when the children's remains were found. Instead, she called Chad from prison. And what did she say? "Are you okay, honey?" That phone call was played in court. The jury heard her comforting the man accused of helping bury her children, while never mentioning their names. It was haunting. It sealed her fate. The defense tried to blame Alex Cox, Lori's brother. He was the one who physically carried out the killings, they said. The one who did the dirty work. And since he was dead, they claimed Lori couldn't be held responsible. But prosecutors had something better than speculation. They had Alex's own messages. In one text to Chad, sent right after JJ vanished, Alex wrote, "Everything's taken care of." And Chad replied, "Good job. The Lord is pleased." It wasn't just Alex. It was all of them. Lori, Chad, and Alex. A triangle of destruction, bound by belief and obsession. Before the trial, Lori underwent multiple psychiatric evaluations. She was declared incompetent to stand trial at first, then restored after months of treatment. The report revealed what many suspected. Lori showed extreme narcissistic tendencies. She saw herself as chosen, divine, incapable of sin. In her mind, even murder had meaning. One psychologist told the jury she believed she was saving her children's souls, not destroying them. But the jury didn't buy it. Not after seeing the texts. Not after hearing the recordings. Not after hearing the pain in JJ's grandparents' voices. They knew what this was, not divine madness, just evil. Throughout the trial, Chad Daybell loomed large. Though his trial was separate, his name echoed through every testimony, every photo, every word. Prosecutors displayed his apocalyptic books, fiction turned deadly ideology. They showed how he told followers he could see beyond the veil, how he convinced Lori they were sealed as exalted beings. And when Lori met him, she stopped being Lori. She became someone else. Someone who believed she was destined to rule the New Jerusalem after the world ended. Together, they crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. Then came one final witness, Summer Shiflett, Lori's sister. She faced Lori from the witness stand, tears streaming down her face. She said, "You told me they were safe. You lied to me." Her voice cracked. "You let me pray for them while you knew they were gone." Lori looked away. No tears, no emotion, just silence. For the first time, the jury saw what kind of mother she truly was. One who could look her own sister in the eye and feel nothing. The prosecutor stood before the jury, voice steady but sharp. He said, "This case is about two innocent children who trusted their mother. It's about a woman who wrapped her hands in religion and used it to strangle the truth. She wasn't deceived. She wasn't insane. She was calculating, manipulative, and cruel. He paused. Then he said the words everyone had been waiting to hear. "Justice for JJ and Tylee starts with you." The defense tried to respond. They talked about mental illness, about religious influence, about Lori being lost. But by then, no one was listening. After 6 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for just 7 hours. When they returned, the courtroom was packed. Every seat filled. Reporters ready. The verdict was read. Lori Vallow Daybell, guilty on all counts. The courtroom sighed in relief, but it didn't feel like victory. Not really, because justice could never bring back Tylee and JJ. For the families, the verdict wasn't closure. It was just the end of one chapter in a nightmare that would never fully end. Outside the courthouse, as the cameras flashed, JJ's grandparents held hands. Kay whispered, "We did it, baby boy." Larry nodded through tears. They had spent 4 years fighting to find those children. 4 years demanding answers. And now they finally had them, even if those answers were unbearable. But this wasn't over. Not yet. Because somewhere, miles away in a separate cell, the man who started it all, Chad Daybell, was waiting. Chad Daybell sat in jail, awaiting trial. He was calm, polite, almost pastoral in demeanor. He still smiled when reporters caught glimpses of him being escorted through the courthouse. Like Lori, he believed he had been chosen. To him, the murders weren't crimes. They were steps toward the New Jerusalem, a sacred plan only he could understand. Prosecutors called him the mastermind, the prophet who twisted religion into death. They said Chad saw himself as a modern-day Moses, chosen to lead a righteous few into the apocalypse. But what kind of prophet digs shallow graves in his own backyard? When investigators found JJ and Tylee buried behind his house, Chad told police, "You'll find nothing that incriminates me," a lie that echoed through every interrogation room since. Now, as he waited for trial, he clung to one belief, that Lori would never betray him. He didn't know that Lori was no longer in his world of delusion. She had turned completely inward, alone, convinced that God himself would vindicate her. In prison, Lori became a paradox. Some days, she smiled and told guards she was doing God's work. Other days, she refused to leave her cell, murmuring that the veil is thin. She told a prison therapist that she still talked to her children, not through letters, not through visits, but through visions. She said they appeared to her as beings of light, that they were happy, that they forgave her. It was chilling, because it meant that Lori Vallow wasn't wrestling with guilt. She was living in denial, a world of her own creation, where murder wasn't evil but divine. Her fellow inmates avoided her. They called her the preacher. At night, she'd pace the floor, whispering about the gathering. She said the world was ending soon, that she'd walk out free when it did. The guards didn't argue. They just kept the lights on. Within months of her sentencing, Lori's attorneys filed an appeal. They claimed she was mentally unfit at the time of the murders, that the court ignored her delusions, that the media had poisoned the jury. But prosecutors were ready. They said her behavior in court proved otherwise. She had laughed, mocked, and manipulated. Every word, every smirk, every silence was a choice. The appeal sits in review today, but few expect it to succeed. The evidence was overwhelming. The bodies, the texts, the motive, it all pointed back to Lori and to Chad. Chad's trial began months later. The media swarmed the courthouse in Boise, Idaho. Every network wanted the story, the prophet on trial for murder. The prosecution built their case brick by brick. They showed Chad's books, self-published novels about the end of days. They showed his emails recruiting followers into his doomsday movement. And they revealed his chilling belief that he could determine whether a person's soul was light or dark. To Chad, Tylee and JJ weren't children anymore. They were dark spirits, obstacles in the way of a divine mission. Witness after witness testified. Former friends, family members, even church acquaintances. They all said the same thing, that Chad's words had power. And Lori believed every one of them. But the jury saw through the prophecies. They saw a man who used faith as a weapon, a manipulator who convinced a mother to kill her own blood. One piece of evidence broke the courtroom: a phone call between Lori and Chad, recorded after the children's bodies were discovered. Lori's voice trembled, but not from grief. She said, "They found them." Chad sighed, then whispered, "It's okay. Everything will be explained soon." That call lasted for minutes. No one said the children's names. Not once. When it ended, the jury had all they needed to hear. When the verdict came down, Chad Daybell showed no emotion. Just like Lori, the jury found him guilty on all counts: the murders of JJ and Tylee, and of his former wife, Tammy Daybell. The judge sentenced him to death. He didn't flinch. He simply said, "The Lord will handle my judgment." Lori watched the news from her cell. She smiled faintly, whispered something no one could hear, and turned away. You'd think the story would end there, but the shadows of their cult, preparing a people, still linger. Some former members still defend Lori and Chad. They claim the government fabricated evidence, that the media twisted scripture, that the Daybells were warriors of light. In online forums, they share old prophecies, waiting for the gathering of the elect. It's frightening because belief, once twisted, doesn't die easily. It mutates, and it spreads. Investigators say they continue to monitor a small number of groups linked to the Daybells' teachings. None are violent, but the ideology persists, a mix of Mormon mysticism and apocalyptic fantasy. It's a reminder that what started in one family's home nearly destroyed an entire community. JJ and Tylee's relatives visit their graves often. They bring flowers, photos, stuffed animals. Kay Woodcock still speaks at events about child safety and faith abuse. She tells people, "You can't blindly follow anyone, not even someone claiming to speak for God." Tylee's aunt says she still dreams of her, smiling, laughing, alive. But every morning she wakes up to the same thought: they never had a chance. The families live with that every day, and they want the world to remember it too. Because Lori's story isn't just about one mother's madness. It's about what happens when delusion goes unchecked, when love becomes power, and when faith becomes fatal. Podcasts, documentaries, Netflix specials, everyone wanted a piece of the story. But the question was always the same: why? Why would a mother do this? Why would she kill the children she claimed to love? Experts tried to explain it. Some said narcissistic delusion. Others said religious psychosis. But no answer ever felt complete. Maybe because there's no logic in what Lori did. Only darkness. Months after the verdict, Judge Boyce released a statement reflecting on the case. He said, "This trial reminded us that evil often wears a smile, speaks softly. It hides behind scripture and charm. But in the end, the truth always finds a voice." He was right. The truth did speak. Through the texts, through the evidence, through the tears of the families who never stopped fighting. Lori Vallow sits in her Idaho cell, serving life without parole. Every morning, she reads her Bible. Every night, she prays. But her prayers aren't for forgiveness. They're for redemption. She still believes the world will end soon. That she'll be lifted up, not condemned. That she'll see JJ and Tylee again. Other inmates avoid her. Some fear her. Others pity her. To them, she's not the Doomsday Mom. She's just another broken soul lost in her own delusion. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.